All right, a new Transformers movie. Let's talk about it. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of Transformers Rise of the Beast, the newest film from director Stephen Caple Jr. Okay, this will be spoiler-free because there are some spoilers that they don't want you to talk about till the movie comes out. So just make you aware, just to let you know before I do this review. So Transformers Rise of the Beast is the latest installment in the Transformers franchise. This, of course, stars Anthony Ramos and, of course, Dominque Fishback as the two human characters in this movie, which involves, the saving of Earth once again. We, of course, bring back the Autobots, characters like Wheeljack and, of course, Mirage and Wheelie and Optimus Prime are in this movie. They basically, with the help of these two humans, have to save Earth from the Terracons and Unicron. The Terracons include Scourge, Unicron's famous character. It's also in the trailer, so I'm not spoiling anything. And with the help of the characters that are called the Maximals, which are from Beast Wars, they have to protect this device that is basically a teleportation device that will allow Unicron to come in and basically continue his destruction of the worlds. If you've ever seen the animated series or you know Unicron, he consumes worlds to feed, I guess you could say. And so basically, like any Transformers movie, there is a device, a MacGuffin. You have the Transformers, you have the bad guys, and they have to protect from a major situation, so on and so forth. So it's a Transformers movie in a lot of respects. So with that said, Transformers at this point is a well-worn franchise. It's made billions of dollars. Michael Bay helped kind of set it ablaze and then destroyed it with all the movies he came out with that were really terrible. And then Bumblebee kind of garnered a little bit of respect. I actually really enjoyed that movie. And so I felt like maybe there was a trajectory that they were going on that would have made this, franchise a little more interesting, a little more fun, bringing, kind of tone down the characters, make a little less characters so it's a little less confusing. So bringing in characters like the Maximals, which are from Beast Wars, and bringing in the Terracons, which, including Unicron, was part of like the comic books and the animated movie that came out. I thought that was a plus, to be fairly honest. I thought that was a good idea. The Maximals are popular through the Beast Wars series and stuff like that. And I think this movie was something I wasn't really anticipating, but I feel like it could have been a lot of fun. I think the trailers were actually pretty decent. And Anthony Ramos is a very likable, very charismatic individual. Dominque Fishback, of course, if you've seen Judas and the Black Messiah, is really fun to watch as an actress. And I really think that in the end, going into a movie like this with kind of the homages and the stuff that I remember, especially from me being a kid, I felt like this movie could be a lot of fun, really entertaining. You do have the director of Creed 2 doing this film, so that movie was fine. It was, it was what it was, but I didn't know how this movie was going to play either way. And so, like I said, it has some characters I really love. It brings in characters from other films, and he brings back, a core cast of individuals like Bumblebee and Optimus Prime. And so with that said, outside of maybe the last 30 minutes of this movie is like a really complete slog of a film. It's really boring, to be fairly honest. It takes a while to get going. I don't think any of the characters are really that interesting. I think the fight sequences are really weirdly put together. They're not bad in like a Michael Bay sense, where they are, you can understand what's going on, but I think it's a movie that just doesn't really have identity to it. It feels like there's just kind of stuff thrown into the mix that just kind of is there, to be fairly honest. I think what Bumblebee did was create a really interesting, fun story. Yeah, it wasn't the greatest, but I think the characters in that story were a lot more interestingly fleshed out and so on and so forth. And here, as much as I like Anthony Ramos and I like Dominque Fishback, I just don't feel like their characters get much to do, and when they do get something to do, it's just like, it's kind of laughable, to be fairly honest, and it's like too easy with kind of the things they decide, how they feel, how they kind of work into the story and stuff like that. And I do kind of like what Anthony Ramos is having to go through with his character and like his brother and stuff like that, but he doesn't really add anything to this movie. He could be kind of completely removed from the story and nothing would really change out of it. And I think, when you focus on, like, once again, you focus on the Autobots and you focus on the Maximals and you focus on the Terracons and Unicron, I think that's much more interesting. But because they have to have humans in the story, it completely slogs down the movie. And this movie's only a couple hours long. It's not like 2 hours and 40 minutes or anything like that. I just never felt this movie was really that interesting, really honest. Yes, it has some cool action and so on and so forth, but it's almost nonsensical when you think about it. And then the last 30 minutes of this movie are fun, but they feel like another movie that I've seen before, which is really depressing. But overall, it's not a movie that's terrible. It's not a movie that's, great. It's just kind of a movie that's there. It's a movie that, it's for the summer, for the popcorn feel and stuff like that. And when you kind of turn on your brain, you kind of like start questioning the reality and logic of this movie. And I just think that's, why is it there's a bunch of fight sequences in like New York City, but the police like show up late? Why are they in the middle of Peru? Because it's where a lot of this movie takes place with the Maximals and stuff like that. And why does the U.S. government not pay attention? Like, what is a lot of the stuff that's happening in this movie just doesn't really make any sense, and that's just where this movie lies. But I don't blame it on anybody in this movie. They're all having fun. I think Pete Davidson's fun as Mirage. I think, bringing Ron Pearlman in as, of course, Optimus Primal is a lot of fun. You have other characters like Michelle Yeoh in this movie who voices the bird. I think it's like Air Raid or Air Hawk or whatever. And then you have, Peter Dinklage playing, of course, Scourge, and of course he's really fun as always. And then you have Domingo Colman, who of course is plays Unicron. And yes, I do kind of miss Orson Welles not being able to do the Unicron voice because he passed away, but I think Colman Domingo does a pretty competent job in the amount of time that he's in this movie, which is not very much, which is understandable because it's Unicron and they have to have like a big anyways, whatever. But in the end, to kind of end this review, I think all the characters are fun. This movie isn't what I would call the greatest movie in the world. The action sequences that do happen are very, comprehensible. They're not, kind of Michael Bay situation where like everything's happening so quickly that you kind of lose consciousness when you're watching it. But I think in the end, it's a slog of a movie. It's very boring and not a lot happens. When it does happen, it's kind of what's the logic going on here? And it just, I don't know. Like I said, the creatures and characters are fun to watch, but they just don't really add to much in the end. And they do something with Anthony Ramos at the end of this movie, which I was like laughing. I was like, oh God, why are they doing this? But otherwise, it's not the worst movie in the world, but it's definitely not anything to go home and be excited for. It's another Transformers movie, and if you like it, you'll like it. If you don't, you won't. And there is a mid-credit sequence and a scene right after the movie ends that leads into some really interesting things that could be happening throughout the series, but I won't spoil it here. But yeah, with that said, that is my take on Transformers Rise of the Beast, the newest film of the franchise. So anyways, with that said, thank you so much for watching. Comments below, yeah, let me know what you think of this movie. What's your favorite Transformers movie? Like I said, I think Bumblebee is my favorite just because I felt like it was a refreshing take on the whole entire franchise. But with that said, I think that'll do it. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see on this channel, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell, top the finals coming next. If you like this video, awesome. Hit that like button. And as always, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.